As you probably know, global atmospheric carbon dioxide levels have been increasing over recent years and are projected to continue increasing. As global atmospheric carbon dioxide levels increase, the ocean acts as a buffer system, which in turn decreases the pH. The purpose of this experiment is to see how this increase in carbon dioxide affects marine life, that specifically of Balanus amphitrite. The question that we asked was, does pH affect the feeding rates of Balanus amphitrite? We formulated two hypotheses. The first hypothesis stated that if carbon dioxide was pumped through the water, lowering the pH, the feeding rates of Balanus amphitrite would be affected. We also created a null hypothesis, which stated the exact opposite. If carbon dioxide was pumped through the water, lowering the pH, the feeding rates of Balanus amphitrite would not be affected. After collecting Balanus amphitrite on their original substrates, we obtained two identical tanks with identical filters and identical aerators. The only difference between the experimental tank and the control tank was that in the experimental tank, there was a carbon dioxide tank that was attached to a second aerator, which monitored the pH of that tank. The purpose of this was to maintain the experimental pH, 1 pH unit. After approximately 10 days of data collection, we found that there wasn't a drastic difference between the feeding rates in each tank. However, we did find that there was a drastic difference between the percentages of individuals feeding on each substrate. On average, 32% of the barnacles were feeding in the control, whereas only 16% were feeding in the experimental. While this may seem drastic, we performed a statistical analysis, a paired t-test. In the future, we hope to have a longer data collection period, and we also hope to work with phytoplankton because they are a keystone species and would give us a greater idea of how ocean acidification